Hi there, I'm Antonia and this is Rocky, and welcome to Rocky's Pet Products channel. I'm guessing that you've got here by scanning the QR code on the back of your pack, and if not, then I will provide a link in the description below of how you can purchase your very own Rocky's Pet Products DIY crafting kit. Today we're going to be making one of these DIY crafting kit dog collars. As you can see, Rocky is already showcasing his in the lovely blue colour. So yeah, let's get to it. So the first step is to create this magic knot to tie these two colours together. So we're going to put our string like this. With the lighter colour, we're going to go underneath. We're going to loop it round and we're going to come up like this. I'm going to tie this, pull it tight. And I mean, the tighter the better really. And then with this, I'm going to go over the top, underneath, loop it round and create a second knot. And again, I'm going to pull that really tight. So we've got something like this, and then we're going to pull to bring these knots together. Pull tight. We're trying to keep these knots as flat as possible. Just keep pulling, keep tightening as much as possible. And when you feel like you're at that point, we're going to take our scissors and as close to the knot as we can, we're going to cut the cord. And you'll be left with something that looks a bit like this. So the second step is now to thread our cord through the buckle. So there is a front and a back. The front is this more curved side and the back is the flat side. So it's a side release buckle. So this is the first piece that we're going to take, and we're going to take both sides of the cord and we're going to thread them through the front. This will create a loop at the front of the buckle, and we're going to pull the two loose cords through the back of this loop. And just try and keep that knot central. So the knot is on the back. You can't really see it very well on the video, but in the middle of the cords that we've attached here, between the knots that we've tied and the buckle is like a little gap, and we're going to take one piece of the cord that we have and thread it through the back of this gap to help try and flatten the knot that we've tied. So you only need to do this with one of the cords. I have tried it with both, but this seems to be the best way to try and just get it a bit flatter. So we're just pulling that through. And yeah, kind of just evens it out. So the next thing that we're going to do is take one of the pieces of cord and we're going through the back of the buckle. I'm doing the blue side, I'm going through the left side. You just push it to one side and then we're pulling the cord and we're threading through the outer side here. And then with the loop that this makes, we're just pulling the one piece of cord through the loop and pulling that so it tightens. And then we're going to do the same with the lighter piece of cord. So we're going through the back, creating a loop, and then pulling the single piece of cord through the back of the loop that we've created. So I'll just show you again. I've gone through the back, through the front, creating this loop and then pulling it through. Pulling it tight, and it should look something like this. This stage you're going to be attaching the other side of the buckle and the D-ring. So the D-ring is the first thing that you need to thread through, and then the collar, again make sure that the front side is at the top. So we're going through the front, make sure that it's the right way around. I found that the easiest way to make these collars is to secure them to a clipboard. That way you can thread a piece of string through the holes in either side of the buckle and trap the string down with the clip. This then allows me to pull the rest of the collar taut and masking tape it in place. If you don't have a clipboard, you can just tape the top buckle down, but just make sure that it is securely in place. And yeah, just make sure that these threads are fairly taut. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the top, and then we're going to take the end of our thread and we're going to thread it through the back of the buckle and through the back of the D-ring. So if we just push that to one side, I'm going to push that up, push that through, and we're going to keep pulling. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a loop again, like we did before. And we're going to push this thread through the loop, and we're going to pull it until we get to the end, until it's taut, and then pulling this one to secure it, like this. And we're going to do the same with this side now. So the D-ring's here, this thread is going over, we're going to get the end, we're going to thread it through the back of the buckle, and then we're going to put the end of the thread, so through the D-ring, through the loop, and then we're going to pull it. I'm going to pull that tight. So the next thing that we're going to do is flip the collar round. At the moment it's facing with the buckle at the front, and we need to flip it over so that the back is facing us. You can take off the masking tape and reuse it to stick it back down again. So as I'd said previously, masking tape this down with around 2 centimetres left of the length of the collar that you're wanting, because as you're braiding, the cord will stretch slightly, so you don't want it to be longer than what it needs to be. So now we'll start braiding. So you'll take the cord over and you will thread it under these 2 cords and through the back of the loop. So the reason why we flip the collar over is because this braiding technique is flat on one side and then slightly raised on the other side, and this is the way that we want it to be. So if you can see here, this is one that I made earlier. This is the flat side of the collar, which is the side that you want to go against your dog's neck, and then this is the raised side. So that is the reason why we flip it over. So as you can see here, I've pulled it fairly tight, and we just do the same on the other side now. So we take the cord over to create a loop, and then we loop the cord underneath and back through the loop that we created. I can tighten it. When you're tying these knots, try and use a consistent amount of pressure. They do need to be pulled tight, but not a ridiculous amount of pressure that you're not going to be able to undo the knot if you were to go wrong for any reason. Each knot needs a consistent amount of pressure so that as we're working our way down, that each side is equal. As you braid in and pull in, I just like to press it flat. Just make sure that it's all even. And we're going over the top, creating a loop and coming back under. And we're continuing that until we get near to the end. So as I'm getting closer to the bottom of braiding, as you can see, the cords have gone a bit slack, and that's why we allow for the extra couple of centimetres. So at this point you can remove the tape and either carry on braiding without, or you can re-stick it where it needs to be. So we've now got up to this point where we're really close to the knot at the end. I've taken the collar off of the clipping board so that I can just do these final bits, and I'm just trying to go over the knot, if you can see, just to make it up to where this is, to cover it up. So I'm just going to do that. It is a bit more fiddly at this point because you're not attached to anything and you don't have quite as much to work with. Just check this again. I could maybe do with another one or two. So yeah, so on this side we've knotted up to here. Now the next thing that we're going to do is make sure that these cords are pulled quite tight, and we're just going to cut them. Make sure there's a little bit of length on them because we're going to be covering those up. So with the excess, I would take a length of around 60 centimetres. And what you're going to do is create a knot that's going to wrap around the end and just cover up these bits. So this is going to wrap over here, and you're going to try and keep it as secure as possible, and you're going to pull it like this, back under, and you're going to wrap it round. Now I find the easiest way to do this is keep hold of it, keep rotating it, whereas you might find it easier to just wrap it round. But we're going to try and keep it really neat. We're trying to cover up these bits of cord that are underneath, and we're trying to keep it flat. So we're just going round. Until we're at a point where we've done it. I've done that 5 times so far. I'm going to do it a And when we've wrapped it around to this point, when our braid's flat, this end of cord, you're going to pull through the loop that you've created and keep hold of everything tight, and you're going to start to pull this. As you can see, it's tightening, and you can tighten it further. And that braid has just kind of helped cover the bits underneath, and it's evened out the knot that we had at the end. So do pull it tight. Try not to pull it too tight that it warps your collar, because you don't want it going really thin at this end. But do just keep manipulating it until you're happy that it's firm, it's secure, it's covered all the bits up that you wanted it to cover up. And yeah, once you're happy with it, then you just snip these ends. Now they're going to be covered obviously by the fact that it's on the inside. So the final step for your collar is to attach the Rocky's Pet Products logo tag. I would place it around here, and if you have a needle and a thread, what I tend to do is just double the thread up, tie a knot in it, and just chop the end off as close to the knot as you can get it. So just push the needle through. Just go through the hole and then back through the side. I tend to do it about 5 or 6 times just to make sure that it is on really secure. See, it's super shiny. And yeah, you've made your own Rocky's Pet Products DIY crafted collar.